The Broken Promise dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the Julius 9 system, its hull still bearing the scars of their narrow escape. Hack's paws flew over his console, initiating docking procedures and preparing the data package they'd risked their lives to obtain. Julius 9 Control. This is the Broken Promise requesting immediate clearance and priority channel to command. Jeb's voice was steady, but Hack could detect the underlying urgency. Broken Promise, you are cleared for approach. Transmitting docking coordinates now, came the swift reply. As they maneuvered towards the orbital station, Hack couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and apprehension. They were home, yes, but the information they carried could change everything. The moment they docked, Jeb turned to his crew. Hacked, Killian, with me. The rest of you, begin compiling detailed reports. I have a feeling we'll all be debriefed thoroughly once command sees what we've found. Hacked scurried after Jeb and Killian, clutching a data pad containing their findings. The corridors of the station were a blur as they rushed towards the command center. They burst into the briefing room, startling the officers present. Grand Admiral Decker looked up from a holographic display, his eyebrows raised at their abrupt entrance. Captain Sheets, I trust you have a good reason for. Sir Jeb interrupted, something he'd never done before in Hack's memory. We've discovered an Imperial superweapon, one that could potentially destroy entire planets. The room fell silent. Decker's face hardened. Explain. Now. Hack stepped forward, his whiskers twitching nervously as he activated his data pad. A holographic representation of the asteroid base sprang to life in the center of the room. We found this hidden Imperial base. Hack began, his voice steadier than he felt. The energy readings we detected, they're like nothing we've ever seen before. And the Imperial response to our presence was overwhelming. Whatever they're building in there, it's of critical importance to them. As Hack and Jeb took turns explaining their findings and their harrowing escape, Decker's frown deepened. Just as they finished their report, an aide rushed in, whispering urgently in the Grand Admiral's ear. Decker's eyes widened slightly before he composed himself. It seems we have corroborating evidence, he announced. Our long-range sensors detected a massive energy spike in the sector you just left. Whatever this weapon is, it appears to be powering up. The implications hung heavy in the air. Hack felt his fur stand on end as he realized the full gravity of their discovery. Decker's voice cut through the tense silence. Gentlemen, it seems we no longer have the luxury of time. We need to act, and we need to act now. He turned to his aide. Summon the War Council immediately, and... He paused, looking at Jeb and his crew. Prepare our fastest ships and best troops. We're going to hit them before they know what's coming. As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, Hack exchanged glances with Jeb and Killian. They had escaped one danger only to fly headlong into another, but this time they wouldn't be alone. The war room buzzed with activity as Grand Admiral Decker outlined the plan of attack. Hack's ears twitched, trying to catch every detail, while his paws nervously kneaded the edge of his seat. Time is of the essence. Decker's voice cut through the chatter. We can't allow the Empire to complete whatever they're building in that asteroid. Captain Sheets, your discovery may have saved us all. Jeb nodded solemnly. What's our plan of attack, sir? Decker activated a holographic display of the asteroid base. We're going to hit them hard and fast. But we need ships that can outmaneuver their defenses and get our troops on the ground quickly. A sly smile crossed Decker's face. That's where you come in. Or rather, all of you. With a wave of his hand, the hologram shifted to show a fleet of ships that Hack recognized immediately. They were racing vessels, just like the Broken Promise, each one modified and upgraded with Julius 9's advanced technology. We're sending in the racers, Killian asked, a note of excitement in his gruff voice. Decker nodded. Exactly. Your ships are faster, more maneuverable, and better equipped for this kind of operation than our standard military vessels. Plus, you all have experience flying in tight formations under extreme pressure. Hack felt a surge of pride mixed with nervousness. They were being entrusted with a mission that could determine the fate of the entire war. We've selected the top racing teams to lead this assault, Decker continued. Captain Sheets, Your crew will be at the forefront. Each ship will carry a complement of our best Marines for the ground assault. As Decker outlined the details of the plan, Hack saw familiar faces entering the war room. Captain Yara Hoffman's old crew, and other racers they had competed against and later allied with during their escape from the Empire. Once you breach the asteroid's defenses, your primary objective will be to disable whatever weapon they're building and, if possible, take control of the entire base, Decker explained. We're talking about a potential game changer here, people. If we can turn their superweapon against them. The implications hung in the air. This wasn't just a defensive move, it was an opportunity to strike a devastating blow against the Empire. You have 2 hours to prepare, Decker concluded. Make every minute count. Dismissed. As the room emptied, Jeb turned to his crew. All right, people, you heard the Admiral. Let's get the broken promise ready for battle. Hacked, I want you to coordinate with the other navigators. Your knowledge of that asteroid base could make the difference between success and failure. Hacked straightened up, feeling the weight of responsibility on his small shoulders. Aye, Captain. I won't let you down. As they rushed to prepare for the mission, Hacked couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. From prisoners forced to race for entertainment, they had become the spearhead of a crucial military operation. The fleet of modified racing ships dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system, their sleek forms barely visible against the backdrop of space. Hacked's paws danced across his console, running final checks on their cloaking system. All ships, report in Jeb's voice crackled over the secure comm channel. One by one, the other racing captains confirmed their readiness. Hacked felt a surge of pride as he recognized the voices of former competitors, now united in a common cause. Sensor sweep complete, Hacked reported, his whiskers twitching as he analyzed the data. Captain, it looks like most of the Imperial fleet has departed. I'm only detecting one capital ship, the battleship we encountered earlier. Jeb nodded grimly. They must have pulled out to gather more resources for their weapon. Lucky for us. Killian, what's our tactical situation? Killian's gruff voice carried a note of satisfaction. Our cloaking is holding steady, Cap. As far as that battleship is concerned, we're nothing but empty space. Good, Jeb replied. All ships, maintain radio silence from here on out. We're going in. The fleet of racing ships glided silently towards the asteroid, their advanced engines barely a whisper in the void. As they drew closer, Hack's eyes widened at the sight of the massive Imperial base. By the cosmic void, he breathed, it's even bigger than I remembered. The asteroid's surface was now bristling with defensive turrets and sensor arrays, a far cry from the hidden base they had stumbled upon earlier. But thanks to their cloaking technology, they slipped past the defenses undetected. Approaching designated landing zones, Hack reported softly, forwarding final approach vectors to all ships now. With a grace that belied their size, the racing ships settled onto the asteroid's surface in pre-selected spots, hidden from the base's sensors by natural rock formations. Touchdown confirmed, Jeb announced. All teams, prepare for ground deployment. Remember, we maintain stealth for as long as possible. Let's show these Imperial dogs what real racers can do. As the ship's hatches opened, Hacked watched the Marines and volunteer racers file out, their advanced suits allowing them to move undetected across the asteroid's surface. Despite his role as navigator, Hacked felt a strong urge to join them. Captain, he squeaked, summoning his courage, request permission to join the ground team. Jeb looked surprised for a moment, then smiled. Granted, Hacked, but be careful out there. We need that big brain of yours in one piece. Hack nodded, his heart racing with a mixture of fear and excitement as he donned his own stealth suit. As he stepped onto the asteroid's surface, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. They were about to infiltrate one of the most heavily guarded Imperial facilities in the galaxy. Hack's paws made no sound as he scurried across the asteroid's surface, his advanced stealth suit blending seamlessly with the rocky terrain. Around him, Marines and fellow racers moved with practiced precision, their forms barely visible even to his keen eyes. They approached one of the base's smaller entrances, a maintenance hatch that Hacked had identified during their previous visit. A Marine stepped forward, attaching a device to the hatch's control panel. Seconds later, it slid open silently. Wherein the Marine whispered, "Remember, non-lethal takedowns only. We don't want to alert the entire base to our presence." Hack's heart raced as they entered the facility. The corridors were dimly lit, the low hum of machinery filling the air. He found himself instinctively checking for escape routes, a habit ingrained from years of racing. They encountered their first Imperial guards at a junction. Before Hack could even react, 2 Marines had moved in, their movements a blur. The guards crumpled silently to the ground, stunned by the advanced weaponry of Julius 9. "Nicely done," Jeb's voice came through their comms, barely above a whisper. "Hacked, what's our next move?" Consulting the mental map he'd constructed during their last visit, Hacked replied, "We should take the service shaft 2 levels down. It'll lead us closer to the core without passing any major checkpoints." As they made their way deeper into the facility, Hacked couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. His racing instincts, honed by years of navigating treacherous courses, were proving invaluable in this high-stakes infiltration. They encountered more guards as they progressed, but each time the combination of their stealth technology and the Marines' expert takedowns ensured they remained undetected. Hacked even managed to stun a guard himself using a specially designed non-lethal weapon that fit his smaller frame. Finally, they reached a massive blast door, beyond which lay the heart of the asteroid base. Hack's whiskers twitched nervously as he examined the security panel. "This is it," he squeaked. "The core should be just beyond this door. But the security here is much tighter. If we trip any alarms now, we'll have the entire base coming down on us." A Marine stepped forward, producing a device that looked like a more advanced version of the one used on the exterior hatch. "Let's see what Julius 9 tech can do against Imperial security." As the device worked its magic, Hacked held his breath. Everything hinged on maintaining their stealth just a little longer. The blast door began to slide open with a faint hiss, revealing the cavernous chamber beyond. What they saw inside made Hack's blood run cold. The true nature of the Imperial weapon was about to be revealed, and he had a sinking feeling that it was even worse than they had imagined. As the blast doors parted, Hack's eyes widened in disbelief. The core of the asteroid was a massive, hollowed-out chamber, filled with a dizzying array of machinery and energy conduits. At the center, a colossal device pulsed with an ominous, otherworldly glow. "By the stars," one of the Marines whispered, voicing the shock they all felt. Jeb's voice came through their comms, tense and urgent. "What are we looking at, Hacked?" Hack's mind raced as he analyzed the structure before them. It's not just a weapon, Captain. They've turned the entire asteroid into some kind of massive projectile. Those energy readings we detected earlier, they're powering a propulsion system of unprecedented scale." The implications hit them all at once. This wasn't just a conventional superweapon, it was a planet killer, capable of obliterating entire worlds. And given its current trajectory, Hacked continued, his voice barely a whisper, its target is clear. They're aiming it straight at Julius 9. A heavy silence fell over the team as the full horror of the situation sank in. They weren't just fighting to disable a weapon anymore, they were in a race to save their entire world. "We need to shut this down," now Jeb ordered, his voice tight with controlled urgency. "Hacked, can you access their systems from here?" Hacked scurried towards a nearby control panel, his paws flying over the unfamiliar Imperial interface. "I think so, Captain, but it'll take time to decipher their security protocols." As Hacked worked feverishly to hack into the system, the rest of the team spread out, securing the perimeter and gathering what intel they could. The Marines' expressions were grim behind their visors as they realized the magnitude of what they were facing. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the chamber. Hack's heart leapt into his throat as he realized his intrusion had been detected. "We've been compromised," a Marine shouted, raising his weapon. The sound of running footsteps echoed from the corridors beyond. Their stealth advantage was gone, and now they faced the full might of the Imperial garrison. "Defensive positions," Jeb ordered. "Protect Hacked at all costs. He's our only chance of shutting this thing down." As the first wave of Imperial troops burst into the chamber, the air filled with the sound of weapons fire. The advanced technology of Julius 9 clashed with Imperial firepower in a dazzling display of light and energy. Hack worked frantically, his paws a blur over the controls as he fought to override the asteroid's systems. Around him, the battle raged, each side fighting with the desperation of those who knew the fate of entire worlds hung in the balance. Just as Hack thought he was making progress, a massive tremor shook the entire asteroid. Warning klaxons blared as the chamber was bathed in a red emergency light. Captain Hack cried out, his voice filled with panic. They've activated the propulsion system. The asteroid, it's starting to move. As the realization dawned on them all, Hack knew that their mission had just become infinitely more complicated. They weren't just fighting to disable a weapon anymore. Now, they were in a desperate race against time to prevent the annihilation of their home. The battle for the asteroid had begun in earnest, and the fate of Julius 9 hung in the balance. The chamber shook violently as the asteroid's massive engines roared to life. Hack clung to the control panel, his mind racing as he tried to make sense of the Imperial systems. "We're out of time," Jeb's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "New plan, we need to take control of this entire base. Hack, forget about shutting it down. Find us a way to control this thing." Hack nodded, refocusing his efforts. His paws flew across the alien interface, searching for any weakness he could exploit. Jeb's voice crackled over the comms again, addressing all teams. "Listen up, we're splitting into 3 groups. Team Alpha, with me, we're headed for the bridge. Team Beta, secure the engine room. Team Gamma, find and protect the life support systems. We take those 3 points, we control this rock." The Marines and racers quickly reorganized, breaking off into their assigned teams. Hack found himself with Team Alpha, scurrying alongside Jeb as they fought their way towards the asteroid's command center. The corridors became a battleground as they advanced. The Julius 9 forces, though outnumbered, had the advantage of superior technology and the element of surprise. Imperial troops fell before their onslaught, but not without cost. Hack saw several of their own go down, the sight of his fallen comrades steeling his resolve. As they neared the bridge, resistance intensified. A barrage of Imperial fire pinned them down at a junction, the air thick with energy bolts and the acrid smell of ozone. "We need a distraction," Jeb shouted over the din of battle. Hack's eyes darted around, his racing instincts kicking in. He spotted a control panel for the corridor's emergency systems. "Cover me," he squeaked, darting out from cover. Blaster fire sizzled past him as he reached the panel, his paws working furiously to override the systems. Suddenly, the corridor was plunged into darkness. Moments later, emergency containment fields sprang to life, cutting off sections of the hallway and trapping many of the Imperial defenders. Now Jeb ordered, leading the charge through the confusion. They burst onto the bridge, catching the Imperial officers completely off guard. In a flurry of stun blasts and hand-to-hand combat, they secured the command center. "Bridge is ours," Jeb reported, as Hack immediately set to work on the main control systems. Similar reports came in from the other teams. The engine room and life support were under their control. But their victory was short-lived. As Hack accessed the navigation systems, his blood ran cold. "Captain," he said, his voice shaking, "we've got a problem. The asteroid's locked on course for Julius 9, and I can't override it. Whatever's controlling this thing, it's not from here." Jeb's face hardened as he realized the implications. "Then we find whatever's controlling it and we take it out. The Empire's not destroying our home. Not today, not ever." As the asteroid hurtled through space towards its unsuspecting target, Hack knew that their greatest challenge still lay ahead. They had taken the base, but the real battle, the race to save Julius 9, was far from over. Alarms blared throughout the asteroid as it continued its relentless journey towards Julius 9. Hack's paws flew across the control panels, his mind racing to find a solution. "Captain," he squeaked urgently, "I've located the source of the external control signal. It's coming from the Imperial battleship." Jeb's eyes narrowed as he processed this information, so that's why it stayed behind. "Killian, what's our weapon status?" Killian's gruff voice came through the comms. We've got control of the asteroid's defensive systems, Cap. But they were designed to repel small craft, not take on a battleship. Hack's whiskers twitched as an idea formed. Captain, what if we don't need to destroy the battleship? What if we could disable it? I'm listening, Jeb said, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. The asteroid's propulsion system, Hack explained quickly. It's powerful enough to move this entire base. We can't override the navigational controls directly because of the battleship's remote access, but we can manipulate the raw thrust output. How exactly? Jeb pressed, leaning in. Hack's paws flew over the console as he explained. The battleship is sending directional commands, but the actual power distribution to the engines is controlled locally. If I reroute power from non-essential systems and overload specific thrusters, we can create an uneven thrust pattern. It won't give us precise control, but it should be enough to ram them, Jeb finished, understanding dawning on his face. Hacked, you brilliant little furball. Do it. Hack nodded, his paws becoming a blur as he worked, bypassing security protocols and rerouting systems never meant to work together. The asteroid shuddered as its thrusters began firing erratically, fighting against the battleship's commands. Brace for impact, Jeb shouted. With a tremendous jolt, the asteroid slammed into the Imperial battleship. The collision wasn't enough to destroy the massive vessel, but it sent it spinning, its systems clearly damaged. Direct hit, Killian whooped. Their shields are down, and I'm reading multiple hull breaches. Hack quickly regained control of the asteroid, stabilizing its position. The battleship's control over our systems is broken, Captain. The collision must have damaged their transmitter. We have full autonomy now. Jeb wasted no time. All defense systems, target that battleship. Let's finish this. The asteroid's weapons, now under their control, opened fire on the crippled Imperial vessel. Streams of energy lanced out, pummeling the battleship's unprotected hull. For a tense moment, it seemed the battleship might rally. But then, with a flash of light that momentarily blinded their sensors, it jumped to FTL, fleeing the battle. A cheer went up from the Julius 9 forces. They had done it. They had taken control of the asteroid and repelled the Imperial threat. As the excitement died down, Hack's console beeped with an incoming transmission from Julius 9 Command. Broken promise. This is Control, came the voice of Grand Admiral Decker. We're reading that the asteroid has changed course, and the Imperial forces have retreated. Report status. Jeb stepped forward, pride evident in his voice. Control. This is Captain Sheets. The asteroid is secure. I repeat, the asteroid is secure. Requesting further instructions. There was a pause before Decker's reply came through. Excellent work, Captain. Your new orders are to bring that asteroid home. It seems Julius 9 is about to get a new defensive platform. As the realization of their victory sank in, Hack couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had not only saved Julius 9, but had also turned the Empire's weapon against them. The journey back to Julius 9 was tense but triumphant. Hack's paws rarely left his console as he guided the massive asteroid through space, still marveling at the sheer power under his control. You know, Jeb mused, breaking the concentrated silence on the bridge, it's going to be pretty amusing to see a second moon orbiting my homeworld. Killian chuckled gruffly. Yeah, and this one's got teeth. The Empire's going to think twice before messing with Julius 9 again. As they approached their home system, the comms crackled to life. Grand Admiral Decker's voice filled the bridge, a hint of awe in his usually stoic tone. Broken promise, this is Julius 9 Control. We have visual confirmation of your rather large cargo. Prepare for guidance to a stable orbit. The next few hours were a flurry of careful maneuvering and precise calculations. Hack worked in tandem with Julius 9's orbital control, his racing instincts proving invaluable as they guided the asteroid into a perfect lunar orbit. As the massive structure settled into its new home, cheers erupted both on the bridge and over the comms. They had done it. Not only had they thwarted the Empire's plans, but they had also delivered an unprecedented defensive asset to Julius 9. Attention all hands, Decker's voice came through again. this time addressing all ships and the asteroid itself. You've done more than win a battle today. You've changed the course of this war, returned to base for immediate debriefing, and one hell of a celebration. As they made their final approach to the orbital docks, Hacked couldn't help but stare in awe at the sight before him. The asteroid, now permanently in orbit around Julius 9, looked like it had always belonged there. A new moon, bristling with defensive capabilities, ready to protect their home. The docking clamps engaged, and for the first time in what felt like ages, the crew of the Broken Promise could breathe easy. As they disembarked, they were met with a hero's welcome. Cheering crowds lined the corridors, and even the usually stoic Killian couldn't suppress a grin. In the midst of the celebration, Jeb pulled Hacked aside. "You did good out there, Hacked. Real good. From a racing prisoner to the navigator who brought home a moon. You've come a long way." Hacked felt his fur ruffle with pride. "We all have, Captain. I'm just glad I could help." As they made their way to the debriefing, Hacked caught sight of the asteroid through a viewport. It hung in space, a testament to their victory and a promise of security for the future. The race that had started so long ago, when they were merely prisoners fighting for survival, had led them here. They had won more than their freedom. They had won a future for Julius 9 and struck a mighty blow against the Empire. As Hacked followed his crew, his family, into the debriefing room, he knew that while one chapter of their journey had ended, another was just beginning. The galaxy was changing, and the crew of the Broken Promise would be at the forefront of that change. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you loved it. Please remember to subscribe if you did like it so you can see more videos like this. And please give us a like and a comment too. I'll see you in the next one.